Every moment, you are choosing a version of yourself. Not metaphorically, neurologically, psychologically. Right now, there exists a version of you who hesitates, and a version who acts. A version who keeps repeating the same year, and a version who already moved beyond it. They are not separated by time. They are separated by perception. Your brain does not experience reality directly. It filters it. Out of millions of sensory inputs, it selects only what confirms who you believe you are. Your habits, your expectations, your identity. This is why two people can live in the same circumstances and end up in completely different lives. They are not in the same reality. You don't rise to the life you want. You fall to the life that matches your self-image. This is the mirror principle. Reality reflects back what you unconsciously assume to be true about yourself, your worth, your limits, your future. Change the assumption, and the reflection changes with it. Most people try to change outcomes. They chase money, confidence, relationships, discipline. That approach fails because outcomes are downstream. Identity is upstream. The version of you who has it does not think harder, hustle longer, or wait for motivation. They perceive differently. They interpret setbacks differently. They move as if success is normal, because to them it is. This audiobook is not about visualization fantasies or blind positivity. It's about strategic identity shifts. You'll learn how the brain locks you into a consistent self-model, why sudden breakthroughs feel unreal, then collapse, and how to deliberately align your perception, behavior, and emotional responses with the version of you that already lives on the other side of change. This is not becoming someone new. It is stepping into a reflection that already exists. The mirror is in front of you. The only question is, which version you're ready to recognize. Chapter 1. The Hall of Infinite Corridors. Imagine you are standing in a hallway that stretches forward into an endless horizon. The floor is polished obsidian, dark and reflective, and the ceiling hums with a soft, uniform light. To your left and right, the walls are not made of plaster or stone. They are lined with floor-to-ceiling mirrors, millions of them. This is the Hall of Infinite Corridors. In a standard reflection, you expect to see your current self staring back. You expect the image to mimic your movements with perfect synchronization. If you raise your hand, the reflection raises its hand. If you blink, it blinks. But in this hall, the laws of strict reflection do not apply. These mirrors do not show you who you are. They show you who you could be. Walk with me down this corridor. The mirrors closest to where you started show versions of you that are nearly identical to your present state. The divergence is minimal. Perhaps that version of you decided to wear a different shirt today, or took a slightly different route to work. The variance is so small, it is negligible. But as you continue walking, the differences begin to compound. 10 yards down, you see a reflection that looks healthier. Their posture is different. They stand with a relaxed confidence that you currently lack. This version of you made a choice 3 months ago to prioritize sleep and discipline. You did not make that choice, but they did. The reality in the glass is valid. It exists as a mathematical probability, a tangible outcome of a different chain of causality. Keep walking. 50 yards down, the divergence is now radical. You stop in front of a pane of glass that arrests your attention completely. This is the version of you who has it. Whatever it is you desire, the career stability, the physical prowess, the mental clarity, this reflection possesses it. Observe them. Do not look at the object of their success. Look at the subject. Look at the person. Notice the micro-expressions on their face. There is no anxiety in their eyes. There is no desperate scrambling for validation. They move with a slow, deliberate rhythm. They speak with economy. They listen with intensity. This is where the concept of the quantum jump moves from theory to practice. Most people stand in the hallway and gaze at this reflection with longing. They treat the glass like a television screen, watching a fictional character live a better life. They hope that if they wish hard enough, the universe will shatter the glass and pull them through. But hope is not a strategy, and the universe does not grant favors based on desire. It grants outcomes based on input. To jump does not mean you teleport. To jump means you align. You must study this reflection like an actor studies a role. You have to reverse engineer their existence. If that version of you wakes up early, you cannot continue to sleep in and expect to merge with that reality. If that version of you reacts to stress with calculation rather than panic, you must inhibit your emotional impulses immediately. The quantum jump is a psychological override. It is the conscious decision to abandon the patterns of your current self and adopt the patterns of the reflection. You do not wait until you have the success to act like the successful version. You act like the successful version to generate the necessary momentum that leads to the result. The moment you begin to mimic the behavior of that distant reflection, you stop walking away from it. You begin to pull that reality toward you. The corridor shortens. The gap between your current state and your potential state collapses. You are no longer an observer of the life you want. You become the active participant in its construction. The glass is waiting. The reflection is ready. The only variable remaining in the equation is your willingness to change your stride. If you want to explore more corridors of the mind and master the architecture of your own potential, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Let us continue this journey together. Chapter 2. Identifying the Target. Reflection. You are standing in the center of the infinite corridor. The realization has already washed over you. The glass is not solid, and the image looking back is not fixed. You have accepted that the hallway extends forever in both directions. Every step you take reveals another pane of glass and another variation of your life. This is the hall of infinite corridors. But now you face a new problem. The sheer volume of possibility is blinding. To your left is a version of you consumed by regret. To your right is a version of you who never took a risk. Further down the line are versions that are only slightly different from where you stand now. Maybe they drank coffee instead of tea this morning, or they wore a blue shirt instead of a gray one. These minor variances are noise. They are distractions. If you want to execute a quantum jump, you cannot waste your energy on reflections that are virtually identical to your current state. You must learn to identify the target reflection. You are looking for the version of you who has it. But let us be precise about what it means. It is not just about the material object or the accolade. If you look into the mirror and only look for the car or the house or the bank account, you are looking at the background. You are missing the subject. You need to find the version of you who commands that reality. Walk down the corridor in your mind. Pass by the versions of yourself that look tired or anxious. Pass by the versions that are waiting for permission to succeed. You are scanning the glass for a specific posture. Stop when you see the reflection that stands differently. Look closely at this version of yourself. There is a calmness in their eyes that you perhaps do not currently feel. There's a lack of desperate energy in the way they hold themselves. This is the target. Observe them. Do not just look at what they have. Look at how they handle what they have. This version of you does not panic when a problem arises. Watch how the reflection in the glass reacts to a stressful phone call. They do not crumble. They listen. They process. They act. That is the trait you are hunting. You are not looking for a magical world where problems do not exist. You are looking for the version of yourself that has the psychological architecture to solve them. Notice the small details. How does this version of you breathe? Is their breathing shallow and rapid, or is it deep and controlled? How do they walk? Do they rush as if they are constantly running out of time? Or do they move with the deliberate pace of someone who owns their schedule? These physical cues are the coordinates of the reality you want to enter. The mistake many people make is that they try to jump to a result without identifying the character required to sustain it. They want the reflections trophy, but they keep their own nervous habits. That is impossible. The reality and the identity are linked. To jump to that reality, you must lock onto the identity first. Stare at that reflection until the image becomes clear. Ignore the thousands of other mirrors calling for your attention. Ignore the versions of you that are fearful or lazy or angry. They are fading into the periphery. Your focus is now singular. You are studying this superior version of yourself like a method actor studies a role. You are memorizing the tilt of the head and the tone of the voice. You are recognizing that this is not a stranger. This is you, stripped of your current limitations. This is you, operating at your highest potential. Once you have clearly identified this target reflection, you will feel a shift. It is a sense of recognition. You stop seeing the glass as a barrier and start seeing it as a window. You are no longer just browsing possibilities. You have selected your destination. You have isolated the frequency of the life you intend to live. Now that the target is locked and the noise has been silenced, you are ready to bridge the gap between where you stand and who you are about to become. Chapter 3. The Anchor of the Current Self. You stand before the glass and you see them, that other version of yourself. The one who walked the path you were too afraid to take. They are successful. They are calm. They possess everything you currently lack. You have identified the target. You have seen the possibility within the hall of infinite corridors. But as you attempt to step forward and merge with that image, you feel a tug, a resistance, heavy and undeniable. This is the anchor of the current self. It is the most formidable force in your psychological landscape. It is not an external enemy. It is not a wall built by others or a curse cast by fate. It is the accumulated weight of who you have been up until this precise second. Think of it as gravity. Just as the earth pulls your physical body downward, your established identity pulls your mind backward. It demands that you remain consistent with your history. Consider how this mechanism operates in the cold light of day. You wake up. Before you even open your eyes, your memory floods back. You remember your name. You remember your problems. You remember the limitations of your bank account and the dull ache of your unfinished tasks. In that nanosecond of remembrance, you have reloaded the program of the old self. You have re-anchored your consciousness to the very reality you wish to escape. The mirror of your mind reflects the past and calls it the present. You begin your day reacting to yesterday rather than creating a new today. This is not mysticism. It is the physics of behavior and the inertia of biology. Your brain creates efficient pathways for thoughts you think often. When you try to think differently or act like that target reflection, you are fighting against years of biological construction. The anchor is made of neurons and chemical signals that crave the familiar. Even if the familiar is painful, it is safe because it is known. The brain prefers a predictable struggle over an unpredictable success. Return to the image of the corridor. You see the reflection that has the career or the fitness or the relationship. You try to mimic their posture, but your current reflection mimics your doubt. It whispers that you are an imposter. It points to the evidence of your past failures as proof that you cannot move. The anchor converts your past into a prediction of your future. It insists that because you failed yesterday, you must fail tomorrow. This linear assumption is the chain that binds you. It keeps you locked in a feedback loop where you observe your current reality, feel bad about it, and then take actions that reproduce it. To execute the jump, you must understand that the anchor has no power of its own. It only has the weight you give it through attention. Every time you complain about your current circumstances, you add weight to the anchor. Every time you obsess over what is missing, you polish the chains. You are feeding the reality you claim to hate. The version of you in the glass who has it all does not tell stories of lack. They do not wake up expecting to fail. Their anchor is dropped in a different ocean. The friction you feel when you try to change is necessary. It is the sensation of leaving orbit. Most people interpret this discomfort as a sign to stop. They feel the pull of the old self and think something is wrong. They retreat to the safety of the anchor. But you must recognize this tension for what it is. It is the feeling of the old reality dying. It is the sound of the chain snapping. To jump, you must be willing to lose sight of the shore you are standing on. You must be willing to wake up and for a brief, terrifying moment, forget who you used to be, so you can remember who you are becoming. The anchor is only as strong as your memory of it. You must now learn to forget the version of you that is keeping you small. Chapter 4. The Illusion of Separation. You stand there anchored by your current reality, and you feel the weight of your present circumstances. It feels solid. It feels like the only truth you have ever known. But look at the reflection again. That version of you who has achieved the goal seems to exist on the other side of a vast canyon. You perceive a massive distance between your current bank account and theirs. You see a gulf between your daily habits and theirs. You feel a chasm between your confidence and theirs. This distance is what we call the separation. It is the primary obstacle that keeps the glass from shattering. It is the fog that convinces you that the life you want is far away, or perhaps meant for someone else entirely. But let us look closer at this perceived distance. Is it physical? No. You occupy the same space. Is it biological? No. You possess the same hands and the same mind. The separation is not made of matter. It is made of time and behavior. The illusion suggests that you must travel a long road to become that person. The reality is that the person you wish to be is simply you minus the hesitation. It is you minus the old doubts. It is you plus a specific set of new actions taken consistently. Think of the mirror not as a barrier, but as a window into probability. In the framework of decision-making, every choice splits the timeline. One version of you slept in, while the other got up early. One version of you reacted with anger, while the other responded with patience. These are not mystical other worlds. They are simply the accumulation of micro-decisions.
The version of you standing in the reflection is not a stranger.
It is the sum total of different choices made over a period of time. When you view it this way, the mystique fades and is replaced by mechanics. The illusion of separation thrives on the idea that you are fundamentally different from your target self. It whispers that you lack a special quality or a specific resource. This is false. The difference is merely a pattern of neural firing and muscular action. The you in the mirror has simply practiced a different set of responses to the same world you live in. They have automated the discipline that you are currently finding difficult. This brings us to the core realization. The separation is an illusion, because the potential for those choices exists within you right now. You do not need to wait for permission to change your posture. You do not need to wait for a sign to change your tone of voice. You do not need external validation to adopt the discipline of the target reflection. When you realize that the only thing separating you from that image is a series of decisions you can make immediately, the glass begins to fade. Most people wait for the reflection to smile first. They wait for the world to change before they change their internal state. That is the trap. That is the error in the code. The reflection is waiting for you. The moment you understand that there is no wall between who you are and who you could be, is the moment the merge begins. You are not two separate entities separated by the cosmos. You are one consciousness deciding which pattern to run. The gap is not real. It is a mental construct designed to keep you safe in the familiar. But safety is not where the growth lives. The separation dissolves when you stop looking at the reflection as a distant goal and start recognizing it as a memory of a future you are actively building. The glass is thin. It is brittle. It is maintained only by your belief that you are not already the person you see. Once you drop that belief, the separation collapses, and you are left with a simple choice. You can step forward and inhabit that reflection, or you can stay back and admire it. The choice is yours, and it is happening right now. Chapter 5. Dissolving the Barrier. You stand at the threshold. The hallway of infinite corridors has faded, and only one mirror remains before you. Inside that frame stands the version of yourself who has already succeeded. They hold the outcome you desire. They embody the health or the wealth or the peace that currently feels just out of reach. Between you and this ideal figure stands the barrier. To the naked eye, it looks like glass. It appears solid and impenetrable. It feels like the heavy weight of time and the vast distance of circumstance. You might believe that years of hard labor separate you from that reflection. You might believe that you need luck or external permission to shatter the glass. But this is the final illusion. To dissolve the barrier, you must understand what it is made of. It is not composed of atoms or silica. The wall separating you from your potential is constructed entirely of your own psychological dissonance. It is the friction between who you claim you want to be and how you actually behave in the quiet moments of your day. Every time you choose comfort over discipline, the glass thickens. Every time you delay action, the reflection grows distant. The barrier is simply the accumulation of your current identity. The process of the quantum jump is therefore not a physical leap. It is a frequency alignment. Imagine a tuning fork vibrating at a specific pitch. If you bring a second tuning fork near it that is calibrated to the same pitch, it will begin to vibrate in sympathy. This is the physics of resonance. To jump into the reality of the reflection, You must resonate with it. You cannot wait until you have the result to change your behavior. That is linear thinking. That is the trap of the old world. You must adopt the frequency of the reflection right now. Look closely at the image in the glass. How does that version of you breathe? How do they stand? How do they react to stress? The barrier begins to dissolve the moment you replicate those micro-behaviors. When you encounter a setback, do not react as your old self would. That reinforces the separation. Instead, ask how the reflection would handle the obstacle. Would they panic? Would they give up? Or would they view it as a necessary step in the process? By adopting the psychology of the target self, you render the barrier obsolete. You are no longer an observer looking at a stranger. You are becoming the stranger. The glass represents the difference between the two states. As the difference reaches zero, the glass disappears. This is the essence of the jump. It is the immediate and total abandonment of the old narrative. You stop telling yourself the story of struggle and start living the story of competence. As you maintain this alignment, a strange thing happens to the barrier. The cold, hard surface turns into a mist. The separation that felt like miles becomes a mere step. You realize that the life you wanted was never far away. It was simply waiting for you to stop acting like the person who did not have it. The dissolving of the barrier is the acceptance of responsibility. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are changing the input signals of your own mind. Step forward now. Do not hesitate. The reflection is no longer moving differently than you. It lifts its hand as you lift yours. It smiles as you smile. The delay is gone. The lag is gone. You have synchronized with the target. You are walking through the mist. The cold glass of separation melts away, leaving only the open air of a new reality. You have not just observed the potential, you have inhabited it. This is how you close the loop. This is how you dissolve the barrier. Chapter 6. The Point of Contact. You stand at the precipice. The barrier between where you are and where you intend to be has thinned to the consistency of a soap bubble. You have walked the hall of infinite corridors, and you have identified the target reflection. Now you face the most critical moment in this entire psychological architecture. This is the point of contact. Look closely at the figure in the glass. This version of you does not possess the hesitation that currently plagues your nervous system. Notice their posture. They are not slumped under the weight of past failures or paralyzed by the anxiety of the future. They are grounded in a present moment where the outcome you desire has already been achieved. The difference is subtle, but devastatingly absolute. They are comfortable with the success that you are still desperate to acquire. The mistake most people make is staring at the reflection with longing. They treat the mirror as a window into a fantasy that cannot be touched. They watch the better version of themselves like an audience watches an actor on a stage. But you are not here to watch. You are here to merge. This requires a suspension of your current disbelief. You must understand that the glass is not solid. It is made of your own cognitive biases and your defensive habits. To touch the glass is to challenge the very structure of your personality. Reach out your hand in your mind. Visualize this action with intense clarity. You are lifting your hand to touch the hand of the reflection. But here is the anomaly. In a normal mirror, when you move, the reflection moves simultaneously. In this quantum framework, the reflection is the anchor. The reflection is the stationary point. You are the variable.
As you reach out, you might feel a sensation of resistance. This is not mystical energy. This is your brain fighting to maintain homeostasis.
Your mind prefers the familiar discomfort of your current life over the unknown pressure of your potential. It screams that you are an imposter. It whispers that you are not ready. Ignore the noise. Keep reaching. The moment your fingers brush the surface of the glass, you are initiating the jump. The point of contact is not just a visual exercise. It is a decision. It is the precise microsecond where you choose to abandon the safety of your old identity. When skin meets glass in this visualization, do not expect a crash. Expect a dissolve. The cold, hard surface yields. It feels like dipping your hand into cool water. You are breaking the surface tension of your own limitations. Now, lean in. You are not just touching the mirror. You are stepping through it. You are occupying the same space as that successful version of yourself. This is where the work begins. You must line up your physical body with their physical body. Align your breathing with their breathing. They are breathing slowly and deeply. They are calm. Adjust your own respiration until it matches theirs. Feel their shoulders. They are relaxed. Drop your own shoulders. Feel their gaze. They are looking forward with intent, not looking back with regret. Fix your eyes on a point of focus in the real world. This is the synchronization process. You are literally overwriting your current physiological state with the state of the target identity. You are tricking your nervous system into believing that the jump has already occurred. As you merge fully into this reflection, the glass behind you seals shut. But you are no longer on the outside looking in. You are on the inside looking out. You are now the one in the mirror. You are the version who has it. The world around you may look the same, but your relationship to it has fundamentally shifted. You are no longer approaching your day as a person trying to become something. You are operating as the person who is simply maintaining who they are. The desperation is gone because you do not hunger for what you already possess. The anxiety is gone because you do not fear losing what is intrinsic to your nature. This is the point of contact. It is not a place you visit. It is a stance you take. You have occupied the avatar of your highest potential. The reflection is no longer a separate entity. There is no reflection anymore. There is only you and the actions you will take next. Chapter 7. Walking through the silver mist. You stand at the precipice. The surface of the mirror has lost its rigidity. It is no longer a barrier of cold silica and silver backing, but a permeable membrane. This is the threshold. We call this phase walking through the silver mist. It is the transition state between the identity you have clung to for years and the identity you are choosing to inhabit right now. At this moment, the separation between the observer and the observed begins to collapse. You have identified the target reflection. You have seen the version of yourself who moves with confidence and holds the outcome you desire. You have anchored your current self and realized that the distance between you and that image is merely a construct of your own perception. Now you must move. Imagine the air around you thickening. The visual field blurs at the edges. The room you stand in seems to lose its sharp definition. This is the silver mist. It represents the dissolution of your current ego boundaries. It is the psychological space where you are temporarily no one. To become someone new, you must first be willing to be no one. You must be willing to suspend the narrative of your past struggles and your current limitations. You leave the heavy coat of your past failures at the door,
and you step into the fog. This is often the most terrifying step for the human mind. The brain craves familiarity, even if that familiarity is painful. It prefers a known struggle over an unknown success.
The mist is the physical manifestation of that resistance. It feels dense and confusing. It attempts to disorient you. It whispers that you are an imposter, or that you are simply engaging in fantasy. You must ignore these signals. They are merely the firing of old neural pathways trying to maintain the status quo. Instead, you push forward. You take a physical step. In your mind, you are walking through the glass. You are passing through the silver backing of the mirror. As you enter the mist, the sensation is cool and absolute. It washes over you like a sudden drop in temperature. This conceptual fog serves a specific function. It acts as a filter. As you pass through, it strips away the doubt and the hesitation that defined your previous state. It disconnects the emotional anchors that held you to the version of yourself who lacked the goal. You are moving from a state of wanting to a state of having. The mist is the bridge. In the middle of this bridge, time seems to stand still. There is no past to regret and no future to worry about. There is only the immediate sensation of change. You are rewriting the script of your character in real time. Then, the density breaks. The fog thins. You step out of the gray haze and into clarity. But you are not on the side of the room you started in. You have stepped into the reflection. You are now standing inside the mirror world, looking back out. Take a moment to feel the weight of this new reality. The gravity here feels different. Your posture adjusts automatically to match the target reflection you saw earlier. You are no longer looking at the successful version of yourself. You are looking through their eyes. You are looking out at the world through the retina of the person who has already achieved the goal. The memories of the struggle now feel distant. They belong to the person standing on the other side of the glass. That person is the reflection now. You are the reality. This shift in perspective is the essence of the jump. It is not a mystical teleportation, but a radical reorientation of your psychology. You have occupied the mental framework of success. The air here is crisp. The anxiety that plagued you on the other side of the mist is absent. In its place is a quiet certainty. You do not hope for the outcome here, because you already possess it. The version of you who inhabits this space does not pine for the object of desire. They utilize it. They live with it. You check your internal state. The desperation is gone. The frantic need to control every variable has vanished. You feel the solidity of the ground beneath your feet. You are the protagonist who has already won the war. This is the successful jump. You have traversed the silver mist and landed in the target identity. The challenge now is not getting here, but staying here. You must maintain this specific frequency of thought and behavior as the mist evaporates completely and the ordinary world rushes back in to meet you. Chapter 8. The Echoes of the Old Reality. You have crossed the threshold. The silver mist has dissipated behind you. You are now standing in the reality you selected. You have identified the version of yourself who possesses the discipline, the resources, and the character you desire. You have merged with that reflection. But as you open your eyes in this new state, something peculiar happens. You look around the room, and everything appears exactly as it did before. The paint on the walls is the same shade of beige. The stack of unpaid bills is still sitting on the corner of the desk. The silence in the house feels just as heavy as it did yesterday. This is the most dangerous moment in the entire process. This is the phenomenon known as the echo.
Imagine you're standing in front of a vast canyon. If you shout into the void, the sound travels away from you. It hits the canyon wall and bounces back.
By the time you hear the echo, the shout itself is already in the past. The action is finished, but the evidence of the action is still returning to you. This is precisely what is happening to your reality right now. You must understand the physics of momentum. When a massive ship turns its rudder, the change in direction is instant at the source. The captain has made the decision. The wheel has turned. But the hull of the ship is heavy, and the water provides resistance. The ship continues to drift forward on its old trajectory for a long time before it visibly arcs toward the new course. Your life has momentum. Your material circumstances are heavy. They are the hull of the ship. You have made the quantum jump psychologically. You have shifted your identity and your decision-making framework. But the physical world is dense and slow. It is lagging behind you. The visuals of this phase are disorienting. Imagine standing before that mirror again. In this new reality, you raise your right hand, but in the glass, your reflection hesitates. It stares back at you with your old expression of doubt, before slowly raising its hand to match yours. That lag time is the echo. The mistake most people make is looking at the reflection to confirm who they are. You look at your bank account and see the old balance. You look at your relationships and see the old arguments. Because the external world has not instantly rearranged itself, you panic. You think the jump failed. You think you are still the old you. If you react to the echo, you revive the old reality. If you see the bill on the desk and feel the old surge of anxiety, you are accepting the echo as the truth. You are letting the reflection dictate the movement of the source. You are walking back through the mirror. To survive this phase, you must cultivate a profound indifference to the immediate evidence of your senses. You must view your current circumstances as historical artifacts. That argument you just had is a ghost from the past. That rejection letter is a receipt for a transaction that is already closed. They are simply the residual energy of the person you used to be. This is a test of your cognitive dissonance. Your brain is wired to seek coherence. It wants your internal state to match your external environment. When you feel wealthy and capable, but your environment looks poor and chaotic, your brain sounds an alarm. It tries to force you back into the old patterns to reduce the tension. You must hold the line. You must walk through your day knowing that the delay is natural. You are the source. The mirror is just glass. If you smile and the reflection frowns, do not stop smiling. Wait for the reflection to catch up. It has no choice. It is bound by the laws of cause and effect. If you maintain the new cause, the effect must eventually follow. Do not fight the echoes. Do not argue with the old reality. Acknowledge it as you would a faded photograph. It was real once, but it is not real now. Let the old world spin out its remaining momentum. You keep your eyes fixed on the horizon of the new course. You walk with the posture of the version of you who has already arrived. The echoes will grow fainter. The lag will shorten. Soon the reflection will move in perfect synchronization with your intent. But for now, you must be patient. You must trust the turn of the wheel, even while the ship is still drifting. Chapter 9. Solidifying the New Reflection. The mist has cleared. You find yourself standing on the other side of the glass. The transition is complete, but the reality feels tenuous. It is like waking up in a strange room where the furniture is slightly rearranged and the lighting is different. This is the phase of solidification. This is the critical moment where the new reflection ceases to be a target and begins to become your default state. You might feel a sense of vertigo or a strange detachment. This is not mystical. It is purely cognitive. Your brain has spent years memorizing the coordinates of your old life. It knows exactly how the old you reacted to stress. It knows the exact posture of your defeat and the cadence of your complaints. Now you are asking it to navigate a map that has not yet been drawn. This causes friction. The mind reaches for the old, familiar levers, but they are no longer there. Imagine the mirror before you is still viscous. It is not yet hard glass. It is a slow-moving liquid, like cooling silver. If you stand still for too long, the image will begin to sag. It will try to revert to the shape it held yesterday, because that is the path of least resistance. To keep this new reflection sharp, you must give it structure. You must provide the frame that holds the liquid in place until it hardens. That frame is built through immediate and decisive action. The version of you who has achieved the goal does not hesitate in the same way the old you did. When you wake up in this new state, you cannot rely on your old habits to guide you. Those habits belong to the person on the other side of the mist. They are artifacts of a history you have chosen to leave behind. If you use them, you will be pulled back through the barrier. Instead, you must move with the weight of the new identity. Think of it as wearing a heavy coat. At first it feels foreign on your shoulders. You are hyper-aware of its presence. You constantly check to see if it fits or if people are looking at you. But the only way to make it feel natural is to wear it until you forget it is there. You must walk until the stride becomes automatic. You must speak until the voice sounds like your own. This is where many falter. They step through the mirror and wait for the world to change around them. They wait for external validation to prove the jump was real. But the mirror works on the principle of reflection. It only shows what is in front of it. If you wait for the reflection to smile first, you will be waiting forever. You must smile first. You must act first. The physical world is slow and heavy. It takes time to rearrange itself to match your new psychology. During this lag time, you are the only anchor. You solidify the reflection by refusing to acknowledge the old evidence as current truth. When you look at your circumstances and see the remnants of the past, you must not flinch. You must view them as historical data rather than present reality. They are the fading echoes of a shout that ended moments ago. They cannot hurt you unless you acknowledge them as real. You are cementing a new baseline. Every time you make a choice aligned with this new version of yourself, the glass hardens a little more. The liquid surface begins to cool. The image stops flickering. You stop feeling like an imposter in your own life and start feeling like the resident. There is a specific feeling when the process is complete. The tension leaves your shoulders. The desperate need to check the mirror for changes evaporates. You no longer need to check if you have arrived, because you are no longer traveling. You are simply here. The reflection matches the source perfectly. The barrier that once separated you from your desire has not just dissolved. It has been forgotten. You move, and the mirror moves with you instantly. There is no lag. There is no distortion. The jump is over, and the new reality has set like concrete under your feet. Chapter 10. The Shattered Mirror. You have walked through the mist. You have felt the solid ground of the new reality beneath your feet.
The echoes of the old world are fading. Yet there is one final barrier that remains. It is the most persistent illusion of all. We call this the shattered mirror. Imagine standing in a room that you believe is new. The furniture is different. The light is warmer. You feel different. But on the far wall hangs an ancient, heavy frame.
Inside that frame is a reflection that does not match the person you have become. It shows the version of you that was afraid, the version of you that hesitated, the version of you that accepted less than you define as your standard. This is the residual self-image. It is the lag time between your internal change and your external recognition. Experts might call this homeostatic resistance, but here in the narrative of your life, it acts as a haunting. The mirror tries to convince you that the jump you just executed was a fantasy. It tries to pull you back into the symmetry of the past. It insists that you return to the average of your previous behaviors. To stay in this new state, you must do something radical. You must shatter that mirror. This is not an act of violence. It is an act of decisive perception. When you look into that glass and see the old doubt looking back, you do not engage with it. You do not argue with it. You simply recognize that it is a static image. It is a photograph of a ghost. It has no lung capacity. It has no pulse. It cannot speak unless you lend it your voice. The moment you withdraw your belief from that old reflection, the glass begins to crack. A hairline fracture appears right down the center of the face that used to be yours. This crack represents the separation of your past history from your present capability. You are acknowledging that while you remember being that person, you are no longer servicing that identity. You realize that your memory is data and not a command. Watch as the spiderweb of fractures spreads. It moves across the surface rapidly. This is the disintegration of your old limitations. Every time you make a choice that aligns with your new reality, you strike the glass. You choose the disciplined action, and the glass cracks. You speak with confidence, and the glass splinters. You walk away from a toxic dynamic, and a large shard falls to the floor. The sound of the shattering is not loud. It is the quiet hum of cognitive dissonance resolving itself. The tension leaves your shoulders. The feeling that you are an imposter evaporates because there is no longer a false image to compare yourself against. You are not pretending to be someone else. You have simply destroyed the container that held you in a smaller shape. Now look at the floor. The shards of the old mirror lie scattered. They reflect reality in disjointed pieces. You can see fragments of your past mistakes and fragments of your old fears, but they are no longer a cohesive whole. They cannot form a cage around you anymore. They are just debris. You can step over them. This is the point of no return. A broken mirror cannot reassemble itself spontaneously. The order of the old pattern is gone forever. By shattering the mirror, you have burned the bridge to the past. There is no reflection left to step back into. You stand now in a space without mirrors. You do not need to check your reflection to know who you are. You verify your existence through action and result. You are no longer observing the life you want. You are simply living it. The glass is gone. The barrier is removed. The air is clear. You are finally and completely here. The constant traveler. The glass has shattered and the barrier is finally gone. You are no longer an observer peering into a better life. You are the inhabitant of that life. This final phase is what we call the constant traveler. It is the realization that the quantum jump
was never a physical teleportation, but a radical shift in perspective and behavior. You do not need the universe to grant you permission, or a mystical force to open the door. You simply wake up every morning and execute the habits of the person you saw in the reflection. You make decisions with their clarity, and you speak with their cadence. The gap between where you were and where you are now is bridged by these tangible daily actions.
It is a practical migration from one state of mind to another. The old version of you is just a memory now. You have replaced hesitation with momentum. This is the only way to sustain the transformation. You must walk this path with steady feet and keep moving forward until the reflection becomes the only reality you know.